Hi and welcome back to A Gardening Midwife, and today I'm talking all things potatoes. Now I love the humble potato. I think they're absolutely delicious. They are so versatile, can do so many things with them, and if you haven't grown your own, you're totally missing out. They are so delicious when you've grown your own potatoes, particularly because you tend to get a lot of different varieties that you don't get in the shops. Now, remember, the shops and supermarkets are going to sell you the produce that is going to travel the best and store the best so that it will stay fresher in the shops for when you eventually buy it and then eat it. The joys of growing your own is that you can eat it straight away, so it normally has a higher nutritional value. And then second of all, you get to eat those varieties that maybe don't store as well, but taste 10 times better. So how to grow them. Now, you can grow potatoes using any potatoes that you happen to have in the cupboard. However, they are probably more likely to get different diseases and pests on them because they aren't designed to grow kind of more and more potatoes. You can do it, but it's not going to be as reliable. So the way that I'd recommend is buying seed potatoes. Now, you can get seed potatoes from most garden centres. Even some of the supermarkets where they've got a little grow your own section will have seed potatoes available as well. Now, these looks like a potato. It is a potato in a way, but these are grown and bred for growing more potatoes. They're more likely to produce the actual potato that you want to produce. They're more likely to have better disease resistance and things like that as well. So I would recommend in seed potatoes. Now, the next question is to chit or not to chit. Now, chitting is the process where we allow the little eyes of the potatoes to start to grow and develop before we put them in the soil. Now, some will debate that you don't need to chit. You can just put these straight into the ground like this and they will still grow and produce potatoes for you. I've done this before and I've been quite successful. The other way to do it is to allow these to sit on the side with a bit of light, and you will find that these little eyes will sprout some little shoots, and then when you plant them, they're more likely to grow more vigorously. They're less likely to rot. These can rot every now and then, so they're less likely to rot and more likely to produce a better harvest. So as it's still raining outside and I've got nothing else to do, I'm going to chip my potatoes. Now, the other main thing that you're going to want to have a little look at when it comes to buying your seed potatoes is what type you want to grow. Now, the seed potatoes come in three main types. You've got first earlies, second earlies, and your main crop. So your first earlies are more like your new potatoes, those first little baby potatoes. And you want to start getting them in the ground for around February to April, and they will then be ready for harvesting in about June or July time. Your second earlies will be wanting to go into the ground about March to April, and they will then be ready around July to August. So ready just a little bit later than the first earlies. You might still get some varieties that are like a new potato or a salad potato, but you'll also find some are a bit more of a substantial potato that might be a little bit better for kind of a mash or a roast. And then lastly, the last potatoes for the year are your main crop. Now, the main crop we normally get in the ground around about April time, and you'll find that they're going to be ready more towards kind of August to October. Now, those potatoes are going to be your large potatoes. So the ones that might be great for making a jacket, perfect for roasting, chipping, mashed potatoes, and they will be a bit more substantial. They're also great for storing. So if you're looking at growing your own potatoes for your Christmas roast dinner, I know it seems a while away, but those are your main crop potatoes you'll be wanting to get in the ground around April or a month or so later, and they will just store absolutely perfectly, all ready for your Christmas dinner. Now, there's loads of different varieties of every single type of potato, and it's really up to you which one you like the look of. If you're new to growing your own, you might want to choose a variety that the name seems familiar. It doesn't seem as daunting. Something like a Maris Piper, you will be able to easily get in your garden centre and grow for yourself. If not, I challenge you, have a little look at some of the ones that are slightly more unusual. You'll also normally find that next to the potatoes, it will say on there what they are best for in terms of eating wise. It will also tell you how disease resistant they are. If you're growing in an allotment where there's been a lot of stuff growing in that soil, you really might want to look for something that's got good disease resistance to make sure that you get the best crop that you're going to get. So the chitting process. All I've got here is a little egg box. No fancy equipment required. Little egg box. I'm going to look at my potato and I can see at the top here he's got more eyes than at the bottom. So I'm simply going to place him in my egg box with those eyes facing upwards and repeat the process. So this one here is called Java, and this is going to be my main crop for this year. It will hopefully have a little bit of a red skin to it. It's got really good disease resistance. I grow down the allotment, so that is something that I always look for. And I'm just going to be growing a few of these. Each potato will then branch off and almost create like a little tree under the ground, which will then produce all of your potatoes. So I've got 7 of my main crop here. One of them's a little bit smaller, and these should hopefully give me an absolutely perfect harvest and crop that will mean that I will have enough potatoes for me and my partner, and a few dinners with a few others as well for the whole year long. That's all you need to survive for 2 people. Now, if you're thinking that you would love to grow potatoes, but you don't have an allotment or your garden doesn't have enough space for growing potatoes, do not fear. They can actually be grown in quite small spaces. So using something like an old compost bag, just pop a few little holes at the bottom so it doesn't become completely waterlogged, roll the sides down, bit of compost in the bottom, place your seed potatoes in there, and then they'll be off and growing absolutely beautifully. You don't need anything big or fancy to be able to grow your own potatoes. And that's the great joy of it. Other things like using an old dustbin or a tyre and filling that with a little bit of compost will do the job absolutely perfectly. So here we are, they're a bit heavy. Let's see if I don't drop them. These are my seed potatoes for this year. They are just going to go onto the windowsill now to chit away. You can see some of them are already starting to get some really nice eyes to them. So we'll just wait for those to continue, and then they'll all be ready for in March to be starting to go out and into the garden.